Hey, what is going on, everybody? It's your guy AlecElijah, back with another NFL draft video, except it's a mock draft, and I know it might be a little early. I believe it's going to be week 3, heading into week 4 when this video drops, but it's never too early for a mock draft, in my opinion. Now, going to be adding these to the channel. I can't promise that they're going to be happening every single Monday, but I'm going to be trying my hardest to get them out every single Monday. Without further ado, mock draft Monday. Got inspired by Bengal. One guy that I really watch in the NFL draft scene outside of myself is Bengal. So shout out to him. With that being said, we're gonna go ahead and get into this mock draft. No trades or anything. Just gonna be going based off what happened in the previous weekend, and the biggest story was Bryce Young was benched. Now, what does this do for the number 1 pick? And what does this do for the Carolina Panthers? Now, I personally think Bryce Young was thrown into the fray. I do think he does deserve another chance. I just think he needs some time to develop. I mean, some of the best quarterbacks in the league, they needed time to develop. Like, realistically, like, you look at the best quarterback. You look at the best quarterback right now, Patrick Mahomes, right? He sat behind Alex Smith. Reed had him develop, had him understand how to run an NFL offense, and he flourished. Like, it's no surprise that Andy Dalton came in and played better than Bryce Young. He's a 14-year NFL veteran. Like, that's what we expect. Duh. But nonetheless, they could be in play for a quarterback here. Now, I like this quarterback class. I think there's about 3, maybe 4 guys that could be in the running for QB1 towards the end of the season. Right now, you're going to be looking at guys like Shedeur Sanders, looking at guys like Carson Beck. I know some people love Quinn Ewers. I'm liking the resurgence of Cam Ward. I know he had a good season last year at Washington State, having a career year right now for the Canes. You could be looking at Jackson Dart. He's right now leading college football in passing yards. Tons of options, realistically. Again, I don't think the OC was the OC when Bryce Young was drafted. So I keep fidgeting with the quarterback, and I really do think they go QB here. Do I think it's Shedeur Sanders right now? I don't think so. I don't think Shedeur Sanders goes number 1. I know there's a lot of speculation just with his attitude and stuff, which I hate. Like, bro, he's 20, 21 years old. Like, most of these people were arrogant at that age. Like, if you were in the spotlight like that at that age, you would have a little bit of arrogance to you too. Right now, though, if I really had to put my money on it, it's hard to say. I think Cam Ward is the one that rises up in this draft. I think he actually goes into a running for the Heisman. And that's going to be a long shot to say, but I think he's going to be a top 3 guy in this Heisman race as the season progresses, and I wouldn't be surprised if he takes that leap like we've seen with Jaden Daniels, because realistically, is Colorado going to go, to the playoffs? I don't think so. Maybe they scratch the 12 seed. I doubt it, though. But I don't know if you take Shedeur number 1 right now. Like, I love Shedeur. I love his skill set and everything that he brings to the game. But I think I'm going to take Cam Ward. Call it a long shot right now, but I'm going to take Cam Ward. That's me personally. Getting over to my Patriots, actually, and I think it's evident we still need receivers for Drake May. Obviously, Brissett isn't going to be the quarterback of the future. Just a nice bridge quarterback. Let's Drake May develop, which is apparently the key of the word of the day right now, word of the pod. And I'm not going to lie, I think, Mayo's going to look at a player like Travis Hunter. And, I mean, if you guys seen the video where they ask him what he does in his off time, he doesn't do much. Like, he just wants to play football. And he's literally a football player. He's a pro already. Like, there's no doubt about it. And I don't know if you're Jared Mayo, I don't know how you look at this guy. Just even with the history in New England, just having these guys that are weapons, Swiss Army knives. Yeah, you could go Will Johnson, but we have a 1 with Gonzalez. Do you want to put him on the other side of Travis Hunter, or do you have Travis Hunter play wide receiver? If not, Do you look at a guy like Totoro McMillan? Could be your future X. I know he's 6'5". Could definitely be your wide receiver 1 of the future. When you take a look at 6'5", 212. Reminds me a lot of Mike Evans. He just can go up and get it. Because Luther Burden, I mean, he's the best slot wide receiver. You can even put him in the outside. But at 5'11", I think Patriots need to find someone that's obviously a little bit taller. So do you go McMillan? Do you go Trav Hunter? Trav Hunter obviously not 6'5", still 6'1". Prototypical height too, in case you don't want him at wide receiver. But I mean, he's, what, 6th in the nation right now in this video drops. He plays a lot of snaps. He's got a good motor. I really don't even see Travis Hunter getting out of this top 3. And I'm just biased. Like, I would hate to see him even slip past New England. Like, I've seen so many players slip past New England already. But it's got to be between McMillan and Hunter. And I'm going to go Hunter. That's me. I'm going to go Hunter. Now, getting into the Broncos, this is a team that is going to be in the need for a wide receiver. You have weapons now. Bo Nix, though, is going to need another. You know, I know you got his guy in last year's draft with Troy Franklin. But again, you need that X receiver there. Losing Judy. Still got Sutton, but like the value's been so-so. I think we could see McMillan stay. I mean, I would consider Colorado West Coast. Like, it's right there. He could stay in the West. I think that might be the move. I think they're in the running for a wide receiver. And I think McMillan is going to be shooting up draft boards. Like, his production this season has been elite so far. And getting over to the Titans, again, they're another team. Is Will Levis going to be your quarterback of the future? Big question mark. There's been a lot of bad play from him this season. I think you do move on from Levis. Obviously, you already got rid of Malik Willis. And I mean, this is going to be your third quarterback going forward. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I think you have to go quarterback. And I don't think it's going to be Shadur. This isn't a fit for him. Again, they're probably going to give Will Levis another chance. They're probably going to give him another year, like how we see with the Giants and Daniel Jones. And I wouldn't be surprised if Carson Beck goes right here. He's been a proven winner. He has the tangibles as well. I mean, 6'4", 220. He's got a great arm. His IQ is great. And again, just a proven winner. You got to like that. Proven leader. Almost had a 4K year in 2023, so he could definitely throw the ball. And then we get to New York. Daniel Jones is definitely gone. Like, there's no doubt about it. And this is where it's going to be a big question mark. Big red flag, really. Because do you draft Shadur Sanders? Do you take Shadur and do you risk him going toe-to-toe with the New York media? Like, the media can eat you up, seriously. And in New York, that's got to be one of, like, top 3, like, craziest medias to have to, endure as an athlete. I mean, it's clear, though, Daniel Jones isn't the answer. So do you go Shadur Sanders or do you go Quinn Ewers? Again, a lot of people are saying those attitude problems are going to be a thing. I don't even see Dion letting Shadur go to New York. And I know the injury's been a little skeptical with Quinn Ewers. But he still has a great arm, great IQ. If he tests well, there's a chance he can rise up these draft boards. I'm going to go with Quinn Ewers. First Texas guy off the board. Not mad at it either. Just because, again, I don't see Shadur in the dealing with the New York media. I think I'm not saying that he can handle it, but I just don't think the Giants either are going to, that's not a good fit. We're already seeing what happens to with Thibodeau and the media there, so it could just be another one of those things that the Giants can just avoid. And getting over to the Commanders, it's evident that they need a corner, so I think this is a no-brainer, taking Will Johnson with the number 6 pick again. Best corner in the draft. Trav just went, higher simply because he's a far better athlete in my opinion, and there's nothing wrong with that. I really don't think so. But again, Will Johnson, best corner in the draft. Getting over to the Cardinals. And the Cardinals, they're a team that really just needs to focus on their defense. I think offensively, they're pretty sound, so to say the least. They're pretty sound. And there's a couple guys, again, I'm not a big trenches guy. Like, there's guys that I know simply just based off their box score and their stats and stuff like that. I really consult other people when it comes to the trenches. And I think right now, from just what I'm hearing through the grapevine, James Pierce could be the first edge off the board. And he could be going over to Arizona. Arizona definitely needs boost in the trenches. It just has not been the same since Chandler Jones left. And they need someone that can really just come in and just emphasize, that oomph for the defense. Getting into the Minnesota Vikings, this is a team that's definitely going to need help in the secondary. Harrison Smith isn't getting any younger. You could be looking at a safety, which Malachi Starks isn't bad to take. I know we rarely see safeties go this high. He's well worth it. Great grading from PFF right now. 6'1", 205. He's definitely best safety in the draft class. There's no doubt about it. You could take Kevin Winston, but with Malachi Starks, there's just no point in not taking Malachi Starks. Do you take a corner? Do you take Benjamin Morrison? Do you take Siobhan Ravel? I know Ravel just, season-ending injury. It's going to be interesting to see where he even ends up just because of that injury. If he's going to even be able to test. Do you take Denzel Burke, who's having a tremendous season? Same with Billy Bowman, having a tremendous season. I think right here it's going to be between Malachi Starks and Benjamin Morrison. Corner being dire need. I shouldn't say dire, but you guys know what I mean. And again, I mean, do you take corner? Do you take safety? I believe at that point it'd be a pick your poison. For the sake of us ever seeing a safety drafted this high, I'm going to take Malachi Starks to the Vikings. Again, Harrison Smith isn't getting any younger. One of the best players we've seen in this generation, but you got to find replacements. And we get into the Raiders, and this is actually where I think we see Shedeur Sanders get off the board. I think he will thrive in the Vegas environment. I don't think the media is as crazy as, New York. But I think this is where we see Shedeur Sanders go. Raiders are in dire need. Like, this is a team that I could say are in dire need of a quarterback. I think if they had a quarterback, they'd be doing a lot better than they are. They'd be able to use all their weapons. And, I mean, there's a chance Devontae is gone by the time, the season's over. If not, though, it'd be nice to pair a veteran wide receiver with a rookie QB. Again, I'm all about development, but the Raiders are a team that they need to find a QB that is pro-ready. And if it's not Cam Ward, it's going to be Shedeur Sanders. So, of course, top 10. I'm taking Shedeur at the Raiders' 9th pick. As for Seattle, this is a team that just has had no pass rush whatsoever, and they need to fix that. You can go two ways. You can go Nick scoring. You can go Mykel Williams. Mykel Williams has been getting a lot of love. I know Abdul Carter, although they're not saying he's not having that good of a year, 6'3", 260. He's a unit. Again, Mykel Williams, a unit as well, 6'5", 265. These are these prototypical guys. You kind of want to look for guys that have that bend. They're just able to kind of get around. Jack Sawyer, another guy that we could see rise up the board. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to take Mykel Williams. I've actually seen tape on Mykel Williams, and I really like his game. Haven't seen too much on Scorton, but I'm going to be able to tap in very soon. As for New Orleans, Derek Carr having a pretty good year. Do you take a quarterback here? Do you get insurance just in case Derek Carr doesn't pan out, to who you think he's going to be? This could be a team that definitely is in play for a quarterback, but they could also be in play during free agency. And I think right now, again, Kamara's not getting any younger. Campbell still being here is going to be a shock if he even falls this low. Obviously, just going against some of the better bend and, don't break talent. Campbell has had tape where he's gotten exposed, to be completely honest. You could go Kelvin Banks here, but I think you're going to stay in the bayou and you take Will Campbell, beef up your line, get somebody that can play on the left and right side. Because if Derek Carr does pan out, you can still wait another year. Maybe even get into the race for Arch Manning in 2 years. Who knows? Again, the draft class as well in 2025 and 26, they're going to have some great quarterbacks as well. Going into the Bucs, this is another team that really just has been lacking in their secondary. So seeing Benjamin Morrison at 12 is probably going to have teams like the Bucs salivating. Again, depending on where Siobhan Ravel ends up just because of that injury, I think he's a talented corner. Some say that he might even be better than Benjamin Morrison. Tacario Davis, also very nice. But I'm going to go Benjamin Morrison. He's my CB3 right now, just after Travis Hunter. And nothing wrong with that. But I'm going to go Benjamin Morrison at the 12 slot. And then there's a chance that we could see, back-to-back corners go off the board. Colts have been another team that they just need a lot of help. And this is where we could see Siobhan Ravel get off the board. Obviously, seeing the Eastern Carolina, some people are going to be like, oh my God, he goes to Eastern Carolina. It doesn't matter. Cornerback is literally one of those positions where if you can play, you can play. Like, it doesn't matter the talent level that you're facing. There's certain skill sets, certain tangibles that you just cannot teach at that position. And, you look at guys like Quinyon Mitchell, who came out of Toledo. Look at guys like Sauce Gardner, who came out of Cincinnati. There's dudes out there that can play, that don't have to be, in the Power 5. But his injury does worry me. Denzel Burke is having a hell of a season. I think he does rise up. I mean, he's only going to continue to get better. Colts are going to need a corner that can play right away. And I think Denzel Burke is going to be the safety net option for you right there. And getting into the Steelers, we've seen Justin Fields tear it up. We have seen Justin Fields tear it up. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he is the Steelers' quarterback of the future. And I think they need to grab another weapon for him. Obviously, you got Pickens, which I really like. You brought in Roman Wilson. You got Freiermuth. But what about in the slot? You got some guys there that are in that, rotational role. But you have a chance right here to get what I believe could be one of, if not, the best wide receiver in this draft class. This could be this is people's wide receiver one. Obviously, just because he's a slot and he doesn't play the X for the most part. That's kind of the reason why a lot of people have McMillan going first. The reason I have McMillan going first. But Luther Burden is still, wide receiver one in this draft class for a lot of people. And I don't think the Steelers can pass up on a wide receiver like Luther Burden. Get him in the slot. Put Pickens on the out. You got Freiermuth there. You got your double running back set. Najee's having a good season. Again, I think Fields is going to be the quarterback of the future there. So just go ahead, get him another weapon. Why not? As for the Rams, this is a team could be looking at quarterback as well. Stafford isn't getting any younger. I mean, I feel like that's a repetitive thing that I'm saying on this episode here, but he's really not. So do you take the chance that he's got maybe 2-3 more years in the tank, and then you have, one of your backups come in and potentially take over, just beef up your O-line, or do you get a quarterback? It could go either way. Again, their team, they could also be in the running for trenches on the defensive side. But I think you really just have to preserve the remaining years that you have with Stafford. Kyron Williams having a career season. Got to preserve him as well. And there's talented guys. Emory Jones here. Ironte Ursary. I hope I didn't botch that. And Kelvin Banks. I think Ursary goes here just because 6'6", 330. Like, that is an absolute unit at tackle. And again, I think you just got to preserve Stafford. Like, when he's on the field, he's playing elite football still. To this day, it's evident. So I think you still just got to beef up that line, get the most that you can. Obviously, they're still dealing with, giving away all those picks for that Super Bowl. They were able to scare, but there's a chance they could go quarterback there as well. I mean, the Rams don't know when they're going to pick that high again. So there's a chance. You never know. For the safety of this video, just went with tackle. I think you would preserve Stafford's last 2, maybe 3 seasons left. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Another team that could use a boost in their secondary is going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think offensively, again, they're another team. You could boost up the line if you really wanted to. But if you want to grab a guy at a very, very good, high risk, high reward kind of deal, I think you go after a safety here. Again, we don't see safeties go in the first round too often. Even then, we don't even see them go this early. So it could be a chance that we see Siobhan go here just because Jaguars, they could take a chance on Siobhan. They could trust that he's going to come back and be the same player. I believe it was an ACL or MCL for his injury. But if he tests well, he's still going in the first round. I think his tape alone is first round, whether it's, middle first round, lower first round, just, for teams to be on the safe side. But I'm going to go Chevelle here just because I don't think he goes, again, that low. I've seen the tape. Pretty nice. And then you get into the Browns, who they have some decisions to make. Like, they have a lot of holes to fill, but they do have a lot of decisions to make just based on where their team is headed in the future. Chubb coming off an injury. Deshaun Watson obviously not playing to the standard that they thought they were going to get out of him. Defensively, like, your secondary is slowly depleting, but they don't want to accept it yet. Myles Garrett, coming off a depoy, but he needs a running mate, especially if you want him to continue to play at that level. Again, with just so many holes in your game, I feel like you kind of just got to stick with what's working and just keep beefing up your defense. So I feel like they do get, Myles Garrett, a running mate, in Scorton. Definitely need to grab an edge rusher at that point. Again, it's kind of a pick your poison for them, like best player available type deal. So, they could be in the running for Mason Graham too. I think Mason Graham's a talented defensive lineman. So it really depends on where they want to go with that. I'm actually kind of mad that I didn't take Mason Graham right now. I immediately went for edge, and I should have took Mason Graham. But that opens it up for the Bears, who more than likely would be glad to take Mason Graham with the 18th pick. Again, Chicago is in their slow rejuvenation. The rebuild is kind of coming, to an end. They're just slowly getting the remaining pieces together, and I think they're going to be one of those teams that teams are going to have to look out for in the near future, especially if Caleb Williams can get his act together. It's going to be a little spooky in Chicago. As for the Chargers, they're another team. I felt like they were ready to get over that hump and just make that next move, but there's been a couple of obstacles in the way. Obviously, with Harbaugh there now, a little bit of a change, but their trenches still need help. To be completely honest with you, Herbert getting injured doesn't help the situation. Quentin Johnston taking a leap, though, this season definitely does help them. They could use another wide receiver, but I think they need to continue to keep beefing up this line. You need to just continue to keep Herbert protected, because without that, how are you going to get any of these guys the ball, realistically? Obviously, maybe they could take another one in the second. I know they got a high second round pick as well. But for the sake of this video, you get a guy like Isaiah Bond, you get a guy like Alec for Herbert. That's going to be kind of scary. Antwain Wales gives you that, Debo type feel 4 players. And then you got to think about Harbaugh too. Harbaugh's an interesting drafter, to say the least. You look at the interior offensive line. Is there a guard you want to take in the first? Not really. It's really between Kelvin Banks and Emory Jones. And I think right here you go Emory Jones. A lot of people are sleeping on him just because Will Campbell's his teammate, but Emory Jones is a very talented tackle as well, from what the grapevine in the trenches is telling me. And then we get into the Texans. Texans are one of those teams that's actually surprised me, you know, taking a couple of questionable losses already this season. They're a team that, you know, they've really done the most with their draft. I'm really, you know, they're a team that's really done the most with their draft. I'm really excited to see just what the next couple of years has in store for the Texans. So it's kind of interesting to see where they need to go, just because, again, they're a team that you don't really need to push crazy to grab something. Do you trust Mixon being there a couple more years? Do you look at a weapon like Ashton Jeanty and go, hey, let's continue to build this juggernaut on offense? You could take Quinshon Judkins. I mean, I know there's already a lot of mouths to feed. You could beef up the defensive line. You take Kenneth Grant. You take Deion Walker, who's having a good season at Kentucky. We look at the edges and look at the linebackers. Kind of where you're in the running for. Linebacker, I would take Harold Perkins, but you're still waiting for Will Anderson to kind of just make that leap that you expected him to after his rookie year. I mean, you could get him a running mate. It wouldn't be a bad option. They got a lot of youth on their side, though. That's what the Texans have. And, again, that's what makes me so excited for their next 2 to 3 years, because of a lot of the young talent that they have there. And you know what? Just to have a little bit of fun, I'm going to say Texans take Ashton Jeanty. Why not? Why don't you keep, you know, building that juggernaut on offense? Because if you get a guy like Ashton Jeanty in that backfield with the talent they already have with Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, like, that team is going to be absolutely ridiculous, to be completely honest. And we get to the Jets. They're a team I automatically have to look at quarterback. Aaron isn't getting any younger. It doesn't appear that he's going to get any more better than what he already is right now. And I'm not saying he's not elite. Like, he gets on the football field and it's easy for him. Like, let's be honest. But you need to worry about what your future looks like. Do you want to take a QB right here? You could take a Jalen Milroe, who, while he's not your prototypical type quarterback, he's also a talented athlete. And he has a wicked arm, to be completely honest. Or you could take Jackson Dart, who is more complete at quarterback, gives you that dual threat option. And he's having a terrific season as well. I think he actually rises up in draft boards. Or do you just say, hey, let's keep protecting Aaron. Let's let Aaron hoop. It's gonna be interesting to see. I think there could be another team that's in the running for a safety. Again, we're not gonna see a lot of safeties taken in the first round. It's very rare that we even see more than one taken in the first round. But that's a big need for them in that secondary. I mean, you leave Sauce on an island, then you got to worry about DJ Reed, who's not a bad player, but there's been times where DJ Reed is getting torched. So I think you're looking at safety. I think you're looking at quarterback right here if you are the Jets. And let's say for this video they roll with Aaron. Let's say Aaron's having a, you know, career year again, MVP caliber year. I'm going to take Billy Bowman. I think he's a better ball hawk than Kevin Winston is. And people can, you know, find me for that just because they know I'm an OU kind of guy. But I'm going to take Billy Bow. I think they need to fix that safety position. And then you get into Atlanta, and Atlanta's that team where they took a quarterback last year. And it really shook the draft. Like, Atlanta shook the draft. They should have taken an edge, but they get a chance now to right their wrongs. They get the chance to take an edge, but they also get a chance to take a linebacker. And Harold Perkins' size makes him not your prototypical linebacker, not your prototypical edge, but it gives you a chance to have a defensive athlete who can make plays on the ball carrier and on the ball. He's excellent in coverage, excellent at attacking, and again, he has that injury, but he's going to be another one of those guys where if he can come back, and I'm not saying he's going to come back and test well because he wasn't a boot, but there's a chance. Harold Perkins still goes early. It's going to be between Abdul Carter and Harold Perkins. I think they have to go defense here. I mean, there's no way that they just skip out on it again. And I'm going to take Harold Perkins. I still think he's a first-round talent. His tape alone just shows you, it screams first-round talent. So there's no way that they just go ahead and let that slide. And Dolphins, for a couple days now, I've been playing around with mocks. And I didn't have the Dolphins, or I say a couple days, but past, week and a half, I've been playing around with the mocks. And obviously with everything that's happened with Tua, you have to worry about the quarterback position. You have to just be worried about the future. Do you trust, guys like Skylar Thompson, to run the future of your franchise? No, you don't. Do you want to go after a quarterback in free agency? Maybe. I mean, it's a possibility, but it's also a possibility you can land one of these quarterbacks in the draft. And I mean, McDaniels is one of those guys where he can get a quarterback and he can probably mold him into a crazy weapon. I mean, he's one of the most creative minds in football. A guy with a player like Jalen Milroe could be kind of spooky. I'm not going to lie. I don't know. It's tempting me. I think they do need to. I think they do need to take a quarterback here. I think it's evident that they do, just because Tua gets one more concussion. That's it. Even if he does come back, which I hope he doesn't. I really hope he calls it, man. Just enjoy time with your family. I think you got to go QB here. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go Jalen Milroe to the Dolphins at pick 23. Again, it could be a team, though, that's in the running in free agency to grab a player to help them out offensively. I don't know how many quarterbacks are going to be available right now off the top of my head when it comes to free agency, especially, skill-wise, depending on who you want to go after. So I think safety net pick right now would be Jalen Milroe out of Alabama. And then going over to the Cheeseheads, another team that's on the rise. Offensively, they're pretty sound right now, especially when it comes to youth. Jordan Love going to be bouncing back from injury. Wide receivers, all full of youth. You got Josh Jacobs, who still got a lot of tread on the tires. I think you need to focus on your defensive side of the football, especially in the trenches. And this is where we could see Deon Walker go. I know a lot of people are going to want Kenneth Grant to be off the board first, but I like what Deon Walker does. I think he can play on the edge. I think he can play on the defensive line. Obviously, play on the defensive line, but he can play on the interior, play on the edge, which teams are going to love. And that's another part of the ball that the Packers need to worry about is the defensive trenches. Beef those up, help yourselves out, especially against the run where it seems like teams are just having their way right now. Going into the Cowboys, this was a team that a lot of people are mocking Shadur Sanders to, just because, one, you don't know the future of Dak Prescott with the Cowboys. Two, Deion Sanders has already said he would like to see his son play for the Cowboys. He didn't say which one, but did say he would like to see his son play for the Cowboys. But they could be another team that's in the running for wide receiver. Obviously, you have CeeDee Lamb. Like, that's clear. But what about, who's the next guy? Like, who are we trusting? Turpin? Talented player, don't get me wrong, but like, bro, if Turpin is your wide receiver 2 of the future, it's not going to be a recipe for success, to be completely honest. Right now, I don't think you take a quarterback. I mean, you take Jackson Dart. I think he rises up the boards if you don't trust Dak in the near future. But Secondary maybe needs some help, especially at safety. I feel like this has always been like, I feel like I've done 3 years in a row now where I've mocked a safety to the Cowboys, and they still don't draft one. Like, they took Marquise Bell out of Florida A&M, 2 or 3 years ago, and they turned him into a linebacker. Should have left him at safety. He would have helped you out there. Kamari Ramsey having probably one of my favorite seasons at safety. This is one of my favorite positions, by the way. Over Kevin Winston. I'd have to watch both of their tapes again, but I'm going to say right now, I know I've been ranting about Winston half the video, but I'm going to take Ramsey over Winston, especially for a spot. They have corners that play a lot of man coverage. Let Kamari roam. Let him help out your guys that are getting torched up, which we've seen happen. Yeah, let him help out. Eagles are another team that's very hard to just figure out what they need. You can kind of just take best available at this point for them, which is kind of what I'm going to do. And I think edge is going to be their biggest need. A lot of their edge rushers aren't going to get any younger. Again, story of the pod right now. Take Abdul Carter out of Penn State. Again, best available edge rusher at that point. You can't go wrong either. Now we get into the Lions. Another one of those teams that just has a lot of youth on their side. And they're going to be another team that you're going to have to look out for in the near future. And you could get another wide receiver here. Like, you could help out Amon-Ra. You could help Jamo. But I think with what Jamo's been doing, I don't think you need to worry about the wide receiver position. Obviously, you don't got to worry about running back. Quarterback's pretty set. You could continue to help out your offensive line. Or you could just stay home, which it seems like is a tail of the tape in Detroit. And I think they just stay with the Michigan man, Kenneth Grant, continue to build up their defensive line, which obviously Dan Campbell loves to do. He's a defensive guy. Wouldn't be a shocker. And they say don't take running backs in the first round, but the Bengals are a team that needs to take a running back in the first round. I know we've seen Gene T go off the board early. There's maybe a chance that he does go that early. Maybe a chance that he doesn't. Still, Bengals need to be in the running for running back. And this draft class has tons of talent at the running back position. Ollie Gordon needs to be a guy that you're looking at. Quinshon Judkins, depending on the type of weapon that you want. But I think if you're looking for a just pure all-around running back that is just going to get the job done right now, you're going to be looking at Ollie Gordon and Omarion Hampton. And for the sake of this video, I'm going to go with Ollie Gordon. He's my RB2 right now. RB3 being Taj Brooks. A lot of people are sleeping on him. Don't sleep on Taj Brooks, though, y'all. Watch the tape. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to go Ollie Gordon. Again, I think Bengals need to be a team that is in the running for running back in the first round. I don't care what anybody says. They matter. And getting into the Buffalo Billies. Bills are a team that genuinely concern me because they're trending downward. Like, I don't see them getting over that hump of getting into the Super Bowl anytime soon. Like, they have one of the best quarterbacks. They got a top 4 quarterback in Josh Allen. But I don't understand what their deal is. Like, what's going on that just can't get the Bills over the hump? And it could be the trenches. That's usually the first problem in any team that's not having a lot of success. It could be the secondary. There's times where we're seeing guys get burnt, so there could be a chance that they take a corner here. Takario being available might be the move. It's going to be, I think at this pick, you're kind of between cornerback and edge. You could take Landon Jackson from Arkansas, who's having a hell of a year. Or you could take Takario Davis out of Arizona. Again, Jack Sawyer is going to be one of those guys that is going to rise up boards. And actually, I'm going to take Jack Sawyer because I like his gameplay. I seen him play Ohio State's last game. Or not the Marshall game, but I think the game before the Marshall game. Can't remember who they played. But I did watch Ohio State play. And Jack Sawyer flies off that defensive line. Like, he is a stud, to say the least. And then we get into the Ravens. And I got to be honest. Ravens, they're just another team that concerns me along with the Bills. I just don't know what it's going to take for them to get over that hump. Obviously, just protecting Lamar is still going to be, numero uno. But what else can you improve on? I mean, Marlon Humphrey isn't going to get any better, it seems like. They could definitely use a corner. There's a chance we see Mansour Delane rise up boards, Jabbar Muhammad, who I really like, Kobe Bryant, who's having a really good season. Obviously, people really like Takario Davis simply because he's 6'4". He's a prototypical lengthy corner. And I guess it's not... I mean, they took Kyle Hamilton, so I guess you kind of got to think about it. Like, they like that prototypical size. So now that I actually thought about that, like, taking Takario Davis right here, like, actually makes sense for them. And this is... Bro, the Niners, like... It's crazy because they're good enough for me to say, like, they don't have problems, but they have problems every year. Like, someone always gets injured, and I really don't understand, like, what goes on there for everybody to be getting injured. Like, I understand you guys are playing hard, but damn, like, slow down. And they love the USC pipeline. Bear Alexander's having a good year. We could see him go in the first. I think Debo could be gone soon. Do you trust Ricky Pearsall? Do you want another weapon out there? Possibilities could be endless. I mean, you could take Colston Loveland, who's right now best tight end. A lot of people like Tyler Warren. I still think safeties or cornerbacks need help over there. I don't think those two over there are your future. There's so many different routes to go with the Niner pick. I think I'm just going to go best available. I low-key think you kind of just got to take either defensive line or you take offensive line just to help yourselves out, just because of all the injuries that you have to deal with. I'm going to go Kelvin Banks from Texas. And then that gets us to the Chiefs, who, oh my God, the Chiefs always get a chance in just, like, having a weapon that they really just don't need, yet they still get to have. And with Kels being on a decline, which people aren't going to want to hear, but he is on a decline, whether people want to accept it or not, they're going to have to look at the tight end position. And maybe it happens in free agency. Maybe it doesn't. I think there's a chance we see a tight end taken in the first round, and it could be Loveland. It could be Warren, just depending on whose play style you truly prefer. Obviously, there's always that tight end from Iowa. In this case, though, I'm going to take Tyler Warren just because I really like his tape. I like what he does on the field, and I think he's going to be a better tight end prospect when it comes draft time. And just for the sake of the first mock, I'm going to take Tyler Warren. I don't think Chiefs go anywhere else but tight end with this pick. Again, they're always the team, though. They just get someone that just falls into their lap and can help them out. Could be a cornerback, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to go tight end. I think this is where they're headed with Kels. Not getting any younger. Story of the video. But also just being on a steady decline this season. Not a bad pick. And here we go with the final results of the draft. Cam Ward at 1, Trav Hunter at 2, Totora McMillan at 3, Carson Beck at 4, Quinn Ewers at 5, Will Johnson at 6, James Pierce at 7, Malachi Starks, Shadur Sanders, Michael Williams, all round out the top 10. Then we got Will Campbell, Benjamin Morrison, Denzel Burke, Luther Burden, Ariante Ursary, and Siobhan Ravel. Nick Scorin, Mason Graham, Emery Jones, and Ashton Jeanty rounding out 11 through 20. Then we got Billy Bowe at 21, Harold Perkins, Jalen Milroe, Deion Walker, Kamari Ramsey, Abdul Carter, Kenneth Grant, Ollie Gordon, Jack Sawyer, Takario Davis, Kelvin Banks, and Colston Loveland, capping off the first mock draft on the channel, y'all. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know if you think I am tripping with some of these picks. Let me know if you're feeling some of these picks, if you think some of them are going to stick. With that being said, I'm going to try to get these going every Monday, y'all, so be sure to tune in. With that being said, I'll catch you guys next video, though. Peace.